Our next reader is Lize Burr. Lizzie has worked in Texas politics since 2006. One morning, she left the dining room table where she wrote her blog, Prematurely Gray, which chronicled the power her hair had on the career of Tom DeLay. She left it to volunteer on a campaign to unseat Rick Perry. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Sorry. In 2015, Lize Burr became the publisher of the Burnt Orange Report, a nationally read political news and analysis website. Over the last year, literary nonfiction has provided a much-needed alternative to writing about Texas and national politics. Lize is also pursuing a master's in spiritual formation at the Seminary of the Southwest. Her writing, she says, used to be a lot funnier. So this spring, I've been working on a collection of short stories that examine the role of place in my childhood called When We Lost the Country, We Lost a Lot. This excerpt is from the second story, New York, 1970. It's about going to Central Park every day with my mother and younger brother. The walk to the park was always difficult. We had to wait at lights. We had to hold our mother's hand. We had to leave treasure on the street, rubber bands and lost balls left exactly where we found them. We could not run ahead because there was a hidden driveway in the middle of the block, where the doors were open to the artist's studio in the dark brick building across Lex. Men would move her enormous paintings into trucks that took them to museums and galleries and rich people's apartments, where they would hang and awe with their directly applied paint that soaked into the canvas and blurred together, orange, purple, and blue. That method marked the artist as a throwback in an age of combative pop and aggressive minimalism. We sometimes peeked a work in progress along the wall if the movers were struggling with a huge crate blocking our way. Later, my mother showed me one of the artist's paintings at the Museum of Modern Art when I was 11 or 12. I had a hard time imagining that this beautiful painting had been made in that old building next to the 5-story garage where we parked our car, just down from the liquor store on the corner, where a mother could cash a check on the weekend, and they kept a record of our regular order on a blue card in a metal file next to the register. My mother carried a brown canvas bag to the park, 2 straps over her shoulder, a zipper on top, 2 pockets on one side. The pockets closed with a kind of metal clasp that you have to twist into position to open and twist into a locked position to close. No snaps or buckles. She could open a pocket without having to stop or use 2 hands, so anything she needed was within easy reach. In other words, we never slowed down. She purchased the bag at the shop that sold things from France, where she also got her favorite t-shirts and the espadrilles she wore in the summer. Even if the bag wasn't French, we thought it was. So it gave our daily trudge an allure that a 4.5-block walk to the park with 2 children under 7 would seem to lack. It was like we lived someplace else. Up the block, almost at the corner, was the door to a doctor's office. Later, he would be our pediatrician, Dr. Lazarus. He looked like a character from a 1950s cartoon, nose sloping straight down to a point at the tip of his shoes. Dr. Lazarus became our pediatrician when our old doctor died on a cruise. Dr. Metcalf had taken care of us for as long as I could remember, but going to his office was strange. Instead of a receptionist taking our names and leading us to an examination room, we pushed a bell, and Dr. Metcalf unlocked the door by pushing a button at his desk, saying, "Come in a deep sing-songy voice, the same way every time. He worked alone, so no one called to tell us when he was dead. We arrived for our checkups and rang the bell. Instead of the usual "come in," a door across the hall opened. A proper receptionist, like the one who worked at the dentist, came out and told us the sad news. Crossing Park Avenue was the most serious moment of the walk. Its double-wide stretch felt like a river that flowed 2 ways. An island separated the uptown and downtown lanes raised up from the street level and bordered by a low stone wall, the narrow stretch of land fenced off between the taxis going up and down. We had to make it all the way across on one leg. Getting stuck in the middle was not an option. The park had twice the number of curbs, so winter crossings could be slow. Taylor's legs were short. When there was snow, his galoshes got stuck in the icy drifts at the curb. Sometimes mine did too. Park Avenue smelled different. No buses or shop doors or subway air blowing up warm and earthy. Just white-gloved doormen and untouchable daffodils and Christmas trees at the even-numbered streets every December. I was shocked when I realized that there were benches on the islands that split Broadway in two. On the west side, people sat in the shade of actual trees, ate lunch, yelled at the air. They listened to salsa and 10-10 winds and Yankee games smack in the middle of the street. I didn't know that was allowed. Across Park was St. Ignatius Loyola, the biggest Catholic church on the Upper East Side. It took the entire block between 83rd and 84th, with 3 dark doors and a thick black rail guarding the sunken basement windows. Up from the corner, there was a black door in the wall of dirty gray stone. Sometimes it opened out, and a janitor would toss a bucket of gray water, holding an enormous dripping mop in the other hand. The water would run to the curb and then trickle down the street to the grate just before the crosswalk. Toward the middle of the block, the sooty stone wall suddenly turned to glazed white brick. The school was connected directly to the church, no gap between them. 2 doors, all glass, like the ones in modern buildings, with push-button elevators and black brick planters with tiny pine trees, snuck out of the white brick. The doors to the gym. Inside, you could see a trophy cabinet with framed color photographs and framed black and white ones of teams and games, and gold and silver trophies with tiny statues of boys holding basketballs on top. Sometimes, on the way home, if it was late, we could hear sneakers and bounces and voices yelling for the ball from the gym we never saw. My mother's French shop was on the far corner of Madison, a moment of color and play on a dark brick and concrete walk. The window had clouds in it, floating above and around the clothes that seemed to hang in the air, wide-legged pants and striped long-sleeve shirts and strange belts and green shoes, a real-life Peter Max poking through like a violet in the crack between the sidewalk. No one looked like that in my neighborhood, except my mother and that store.